Quincy, and popularly I'm called LG. Okay, so I'm an automotive technician. I've been a workshop manager for Automedics, that's the head branch, for close to 7 years. I just recently resigned from it to set up my own thing, to run my own business. So, and it's been an interesting time because in the automotive industry alone, I have spent more than 15 years doing this job. So basically, we've gone through all the tough times and the smooth times as well in the field. The automotive industry moves every minute, not even every day. Every minute, one new thing is corrected from an old design, and then one person is coming up with a new idea on how to either do repairs, diagnosis, or redesigning a system. So the industry is moving really fast in general, but back here at home, we are still very slow. I would say that because we still have issues getting people who can deal with electrical issues majorly with vehicles. If you go out there, almost everyone you see that can attempt a job on a car tells you, I'm a mechanic, I'm a mechanic, I'm a mechanic. But by the time you ask, I need an electrical person or an electronics person who can maybe diagnose this problem and tell me exactly where it is, problem starts. So we still don't have much of that. So that is one big challenge that is slowing us down in our movement. When it comes to training a mechanic, the mechanic work is very physical. It's very physical. Yes, a part of it is mental, but you can physically see the things you inspect and the things you put together. But when it comes to electrical and electronics, it's very mental. It's much more mental than physical. For instance, you tell you flow of current, flow of pressure of voltage. You can't see those things with your eyes, but you can mentally calculate, okay, this is where the part should be, and this is where the part shouldn't be. Same thing with electronics. They tell you, okay, a diode is supposed to switch, or a relay is supposed, a semiconductor relay is supposed to switch. And then you're asking, how does it do that? Physically, you can't see a switch on it. So that tells you it's not a physical job. But mentally, you can do your calculations and say, okay, this thing is supposed to switch this way. Now, why I'm bringing this up is the way you would train a mechanic is not the way you would train an electrician. Now, a lot of people find doing the mechanic work being very physical. They find it very easy. So they just get into it. And before you know, they're out. I'm a mechanic. But when it comes to the electrical and electronic work, it's not as easy as that. And why it's not looking easy is because of what you said before, the steps. The steps to training people in that field is very flawed. We will start with the grassroots. And the grassroots will have to be going back to school. Almost everybody who attempts car repairs nowadays have gone through school, one way or the other. Either secondary school or tertiary institution and all that. I think from there, the foundation can be laid. Okay, about electronics, starting with the basics and all that. Now, not just explaining theory. You explain practical, but when you are explaining practical, keep your practicals up to date. That's another problem. For instance, when you go to electronic class now, they want to teach you practical. They start to teach you transistors of the old. Whereas these days, they bring a tiny chip like this and tell you it's a transistor. But the transistor they will teach you in school is something looking this big. So by the time you see a car and the control unit for a car is just as small as what's in my palm now, and they tell you a transistor is there, you become confused. Because in school, that whole unit was told to you that that's what a transistor looks like. So it becomes a problem. So when you do your practicals, do it up to date. It's no use teaching people practical and you are telling them to practicalize with what is obsolete. You can give them the knowledge about it, history. The history of how we got here is this. But more light should be thrown on what is being used today. Same thing with the mechanicals too. You go to the institution, they are teaching you of carburetors and injectors. Now presently we are moving from normal indirect injectors to direct injection. From 2017 up, almost all the cars are coming with direct injection. Now schools are not even up to date with that yet, but they will give you all the practicals and theories of carburetors and indirect injection. And when you get out there, you find that most of the cars are using something different, and the manufacturers are actually ditching the old system away. So I think that's another area, going to the grassroots, making sure that what's being taught in the grassroots is commensurate with what is happening in the modern world. There are two ways to go about this. First one, we leave everything to the school, go back into the school, they invite people that are experienced like us, and then we look into their curriculum and try to correct it and tell them, okay, add this to it, take this from it, take this from it. It will be more like a committee where we sit down and have this discussion. Then another way to it is the school continues with what it's doing, teach them the basics and all. Then they put in more like an apprenticeship programs where people, while they are in school, also they will be running an apprenticeship program. For instance, the school can refer you to so workshop that you're running an apprenticeship program with that workshop, so that what you learn in class, you can bring it to the workshop floor and try to merge them together. So if there is any need for correction, right there in the workshop floor, you are being told what should be corrected. So when you get back to school, you can relate it with what is being done in school. So two ways they can do it. Either they set up a committee to correct the curriculum, or they create an apprenticeship program where while people are in school, they also run proper apprenticeship program, not the one they do now where the student is at will to make decisions on what he wants to do. No, this time around, you are properly handed over to the workshop. Like, we want this person trained practically on this. So we will mark all we need to mark. If there is any way we need to compensate the workshop for doing this, we will compensate the workshop for doing it. But we want this person properly trained. Either that, or then thirdly, I think maybe we can set up another arm of a tertiary institution where what is basically being done there is automotive. One of the challenges when it comes to training technicians, I think we need to find a way to grade technicians. To grade technicians. Okay. Because I come to you now, maybe you have a car problem, and I come to you and I say, I'm a technician, or I'm a mechanic. Because I said I'm a mechanic, it's not enough reason for me to just start working on your car. What kind of mechanic am I? How qualified am I? Now, there is no way you can confirm that until I maybe damage your vehicle or do it well. If I'm able to do proper repairs for you, you say I'm good. If I'm not able to do proper repairs for you, you say I'm bad. It's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be that before you even start calling me, you know what I am capable of. Apart from hearsay, there is a documented way or a certified or a qualification process that tells you this person I'm calling is capable of doing it. Because this person is maybe so level qualification in auto tech. So he's going to be able to do this. Now that alone is going to filter those who are not good enough out of the system so they can retrain themselves and become good. Because the truth is, if all the technicians in this country are good, there will be no need for this interview. You understand? If everybody is good, like you take your car somewhere, they can easily fix it, and there will be no need for this interview because that system is working properly. But because there is a challenge, and that challenge is that you have a car problem now, you need someone to fix it. You cannot just be so confident to call a a number and say, come and fix it, and be confident that this person can do it. That is the challenge. So I feel one of the challenge we are having is being able to qualify or grade these technicians. Say, okay, and the only way we can solve this problem, it still goes back to the training process. The institutions, like the tertiary institution, the apprenticeship program, the institution that we talked about now that could be set up to just train these people as automotive technicians. So these institutions need to find a way to make sure they grade the people that they train. And it could be rigorous, yes, to grade these people. Because somebody can come now and do a 2 or 3 years course. And then at the end of the day, when it comes to grading him, you let him know you're not qualified. You may have gone through the process, but you didn't come out with all the qualifications that we need. So in that case, you are advising the person, you have to take this process again, and you have to take it seriously. You have to correct these errors that we have found in your knowledge about this job. It may take that person 6-7 years to get this qualification, but when it comes out, the society will be confident in what this person can do because there was a process this person went through and came out and became qualified. If we do that, we will arrest that challenge of how do I give my car to this person or that person. So that is one major challenge. Then another challenge I see is information. You know, YouTube is doing a very good job now. Yeah. Once you see how people from all over the world, they share knowledge there. We still have that deformed idea that if I know and I tell this other person, if he now knows, I might not be able to make as much as I need to make because this person knows. You see that? Transfer of this knowledge is a problem. You still have some people who want to just be the island of knowledge. They don't want to transfer it. It's a challenge. So that someone decides, okay, I want to learn this trade, and eventually maybe signs up for an apprenticeship program and you're there and they are holding information, holding ideas away from you. And most times, the people who are highly interested in doing these things, they don't have the necessary funds to register in big schools where they will pay attention to them. So they get to maybe the local area where they can do it. We need to educate those local guys to make them see that when you transfer knowledge to a trainee, you are actually making the future brighter for everybody, including yourself. You're not making it bleak for yourself. You see that? So that is one big issue. Over the years, we've been trying to educate the public about that. That you need to know how you transfer these things to these people. So that's another challenge that this society has to deal with. Then I think thirdly, the institutions that we have, how are they being run? Who are the qualified people trying to train the people that are in there? I don't mean the government-owned institution, the private ones where, okay, for instance, somebody can just wake up tomorrow and set up an auto school. Who is checking what they are teaching? What they are teaching there is up to which standard? Are they just collecting money from the people and then keeping them there and not paying attention to what they are learning and all that? That's another challenge. Then thirdly, I think the youth also need to, one way or the other, be motivated towards having the interest of learning this trade. Now, this problem cuts across every other trade, from tailoring, shoemaking, car repairs, other electronic works and all that. We need to find a way to make learning a job or learning a trade become interesting to the youth out there. We are in the era of quick money. Everybody wants to make quick money. But we should also know that if we make quick money today, we might not be able to make that tomorrow. And then the suffering comes. But if we learn trade today, and we know how to do certain things today, tomorrow, next tomorrow, we would still continue doing what we know how to do. So these are some of the challenges that I think the industry is presently suffering from. You're about to go on a trip, okay? You haven't checked your car in months, okay? And something just crops up in your mind that have this car checked. Now you go out there, you need a technician that will check the car, and someone comes to you, you don't know his level, whether he's a basic technician or he's advanced. He could cook up qualifications for himself and tell you by mouth. I've been doing this work for 4 years. I've been doing this work for 8 years and all that. This doesn't qualify him to know what's good, what's bad. Now, at the end of the day, you hand the car over to him. He goes around, he tries to check, he does the basic up to his knowledge. He probably doesn't know that there is a way you can have a checklist for a car that is about to go on a trip. And you can thoroughly follow that checklist. Checklists are taught in schools, in institutions. He doesn't have a checklist. He just checks the tire, check this, check that, and he says the car is good. And you pay him for his service. He just tells you, you need to change oil. You need to change brake pad. Now let's say in the process of changing brake pad, he makes an error there, and then he overlooked the tire pressures of the car. He finished doing the job. And you know the funny thing about auto repairs, over the years, from my experience, if a technician makes an error on a car now, there are ways he will make that error that error will not show for the next 15 miles. It won't show. Yes. If he's supposed to torque maybe the caliper bolts to a certain extent and he torqued it halfway, it's going to hold without sound. After like 15 miles, you can start hearing the sound because bolts are always wound in threads, right? Bolts are always wound in threads. Now, in a case where the bolt is wound to thread, the one halfway, it means that it still has another half length of thread wound up already. Over time, that thread starts to gradually loosen off, till the caliper bolt falls off. Now, when it falls off, you could be in motion, going to maybe your village or going on a trip, and it falls off. And then all of a sudden, you use the brake and you realize one of your caliper is totally out and the brake has failed. And you could be probably at top speed because you weren't expecting that to happen. You just gave the car to a technician to work on it. And he finished working and you're experiencing this now. And then, before you know, an accident has occurred. But you see, because the nature of this accident, we don't have forensics that go there to start checking, asking questions, proper investigation. In countries where they do that, they will narrow everything back to the technician because there will be experts who will come there to that scene. From looking at the detached parts and everything, they'll be able to tell that this failed. There's a way they can put a scan tool, run scan, pick up errors, data from the vehicle, and then from the data they will pick out, they will be able to realize that this failed first before this failed, But do we do that here? We don't do that. So if we can correct the repair industry, we could actually reduce the accidents on the road to a very great extent, where proper repair is done. You've seen some cars that get on fire because of fuel leak while on the road. How did it happen? Yes, mechanical parts can fail, but if a repair is done and it's not done properly, it can fail faster than a mechanical part will naturally fail. Well, as for the dirty nature of the job, I think that has changed drastically in years past. So that if I show you my hands, I don't look like I'm a mechanic, right? Yeah, because we later realized, or presently we've realized that all that dirty work, there are ways to do them and you would even do them better. Because most times when the technician is dirty, he's going to do a dirty job. Yes, most times. No matter how skillful he is, the dirt from his body will find a way into his job, one way or the other. either it will leave the car looking really dirty and rough. So I try as much as I can over the years I've been working to advise technicians, you don't have to look dirty to do a job. In the workshop, I actually wear the clothes I wear from home. I wear it just to show as an example to them. And I'll still go around, do the work I need to do, get under a car, come out, because most of there are equipments that have been made for us to do all these jobs. There are gloves, there are glasses, there are overalls and coveralls, and there are creepers that make you go under without getting yourself all soiled up and all that. But you see, habit is a very, very strong force. I'll be honest with you, habit is a very, very strong force. We need to fundamentally change the habits of these people. Now, when you come to proper setup, there are always disciplinary measures to make sure everybody looks neat. For instance, the supervisor might tell you the clothes you're wearing are too rough and you cannot attempt test drive or get in a car with this. By the time they tell you a couple of times, you will change. But then, we need to take this message to those guys on the roadside. They are the one who actually create the picture of mechanics are dirty. When you go to organized setup, organized situations or organized workshops, they don't always look that dirty. It is the guys at the roadside that everybody see quickly. They are the ones selling the picture of mechanics are supposed to be dirty. So we need to take that message to them. Maybe in their groups, in their organized setup and all that, let them know whenever they come to their fora, any of those fora, we tell them, like, see, you people need to make neatness a priority. Yes, for years you've been working like that. Yeah, now, the neatness of a technician will start from his environment. The minute the environment can be clean, the technician himself will look clean. If you come here now and this place was all soiled with oil everywhere, everybody will look dirty because of the environment. But because the place is looking neat, the floor is kept, well kept and all that, it makes everybody want to look neat as well. So you don't get yourself soiled easily because the place is neat. So we need to take that message to those guys that are actually creating the picture of mechanics are dirty. That you need to stop looking like this. Then as for encouraging the youth to take tertiary, training in this, the school thing still has a long way to go. Nigerian schools still have a long way to go. Changing curriculum is not going to be easy because when you change curriculum, you might need to change the instructors as well. Yes, we have to consider that. You can't make new curriculums to instructors that have always been used to the old curriculum. Either you change them or you have to retutor them, which means people of 60, 70, 40, 50 years old will go back to the classroom and be taught, and they've been doing this all their lives. They are going to have that stubborn will to say, you know what, we have been doing it the way we've been doing it. So that is another thing we have to deal with. So, in other words, I will advise every youth out there, if you are learning computer programming, don't just sit in your lecture room alone. Go out there, find computer programming firm where you can sign up for internship. These days they charge for it because they know what they are giving out. That internship will give you knowledge, experience, hands-on, everything on the field, ideas and all. It will give you that. The school would only give you theory and maybe some practicals, the background, basics. But you see, that's out there own would prepare you for it, for the career itself. It's not teaching you how to learn the career, no. Now it's preparing you, it's giving you the career in fact, when you go out there for internship. Then if you are in school and you're learning mechanical engineering, early enough find out which mechanical engineering, which branch of it you are practicing. If it is automotive, find your way. During your holiday or whatever break you get into a workshop. Make sure your interest there is 100%. Because at the end of the day, the school you are in, when you come out, this is where you are still going to. This is the industry you are going to. So why not just stay in the industry now? Start getting a piece of the industry into your system already. So I would advise that, because that message has to go to the individuals themselves, the youths. They are the ones who can motivate themselves in this area. Because most parents will make the step of taking the child to the workshop. But one thing I've always discovered with those youths is, I don't used to do all this rough work, I don't used to do all this hard work. They need to take that mentality off and realize that you don't want to finish 4 years. After 4 years, you now start doing 2 years training or apprenticeship. Why not just do it simultaneously, so that after 4 years, when you are out, you could set up your own shop? So that's what I would say to that. The government should find a way to pick out relevant people in the automotive industry, not by names, by people who can really do the job, and put them in positions where they can actually influence the youth. Because the truth is, if you get to the market, Ladipo, there are very good technicians that are buried in that market. What they know will never get out of that market. It will never be taught in the classroom. So the lecturer in the classroom will still take his car to Ladipo to get somebody to fix it for him. So there are people there that have like wealth of knowledge. That knowledge, key programming for instance. Tertiary institutions, they don't even go into those, but get into Ladipo. You will see somebody who will program a key for you with just within few seconds. So that is knowledge. If that knowledge gets out of the market and gets into the classroom, it will go into many minds that will come outside to multiply it into what will turn out to improve the economy. So I would just say they should look out for people like that.
Thank you so much. Your name once again, sir?
My name is John Quincy. They call me LJ.